In this video, we will be changing the oil pump on the 1.5 TDCI that is fitted to many Ford, Peugeots and Citroens. The oil pump is driven by the crankshaft. This does require the removal of the timing belt, and I'm not going to cover that in this video,
but you can check out the link at the end.
That way we can concentrate on just the oil pump. Assuming you have safely supported the vehicle so that you can work on the underside, we need to first start by draining the engine oil, and we can then remove all the sump bolts and remove the sump pan. The stud at the exhaust side will stop the sump coming down freely, so just using a small torque sockets, this can be removed, and then the sump will just lift away from the engine without removing the DPF filter. You will now need to remove the oil strainer. This is held by 3 Torx 25 bolts. And it's also worth removing the oil return pipe just to check that it is free and clear. The crank pulley can now be removed, and then just looking upwards to the right hand side, there is a wire that just needs unclipping so that the removal of the pump is made easier. And then it's just a case of removing the bolts that hold the oil pump to the front of the engine. Just be aware that there's one at the top right hand side that you might just miss. The oil pump will be bonded to the engine, so just using a suitable screwdriver or pry bar, you should just be able to just put it in the front of the engine and lightly force the oil pump away.
Make sure you have an oil drainer below it because it will leak some oil out of it, as seen here. So, here's the new oil pump. This one came complete as the oil pump, the oil seal and the new sensor that locates in the top right hand corner. I definitely found at this stage it easier to fit the oil seal, so just put it in its housing, find a suitable size socket that will cover the outer perimeter of it, and then just gently knock it in until it's flush with the oil pump. Now, looking back at the engine block, it's clear to see that there's sealant remaining on the engine, and you're going to need to give it a really good clean. I like using these wire brushes that attach to the drill. They make preparing the surface effortless and give a real good clean finish, as you can see here. And while you're doing this, it's definitely well worth cleaning the sump area and also the mating face on the actual sump itself. And I'm definitely happy with that. Now flip over the oil pump and put a nice bead of sealant around the perimeter so that it can seal nicely on the engine block. Prior to installation, just remove the woodruff key to allow easier fitment of the oil pump, and then carefully put the oil pump into place. You may just need to feed the inner edge of the oil seal around the crankshaft. Now, make sure all the bolts start nice and easily, and then tighten them evenly. And when that's done, don't forget to fit the woodruff key back into the crankshaft. And so, with that fitted nicely, we need to refit the oil strainer and return pipe. But before you do, make sure that the gasket is okay. If it is flush like this, the seal will need replacing. And now it's time to refit the sump. Make sure the mating face is flat and hasn't been damaged when removed, and then place a really good bead of sealant on the mating faces, and just make sure that the stud is in at the right hand side as well, because you don't want to forget that. Start all the bolts and then nip the one on the right hand side here up with the small torque stud and then tighten all the remaining bolts. And I would then recommend leaving the sealant to go off for at least 12 hours before you refit the oil and start the engine. And all that remains to do now is rebuild the timing. And that is it. So, thanks for watching. This has been how to fix it, and here are the links to the timing belt and some other useful TDCI videos.